All right, I think it's up. Hello. All right, I'm gonna leave the door mostly closed. The studio, the little office, is just in an absolute shambles. Lots of junk everywhere. And good evening. Let's see what's happening out there. Out there, you can see. Oh, look, you can actually see both. You can see the two supercomputers, and the other supercomputer is on top of what should hopefully be the next video that I'm putting out, which is the dog lamp. His head doesn't tilt. I have just thought about that though. I'm wondering whether I put a bolt down through the neck and then you could tilt the head. You know, you could spin left or right or whatever. But yeah, that's the plan. Looks all right. I've got another one to make, and that one doesn't have the ears attached because I made it and then I realized that I'd made the wrong ears for it. So I've got to go back and redo them. We had a viewer and we lost them. Never mind. We've all done it. No need to worry yourselves. So how has everyone's week been? If you're watching this later on, I hope your week has been good. Mine was very, very busy, and I'm trying to do the right thing eating wise, and there is no chocolate in here tonight, because you know what they say about your summer body is made in winter, so I wouldn't want anyone to see my summer body, let alone my winter body, so I'm trying to ease off the chocolatey treats. But yeah, so hot water is the go. Lots of veggies at dinner tonight. Trying to not snack. It's harder than it sounds, I know. So yeah, I'll go get the dog lamp and show you what's been happening with that and other things that have gone on. I've also got to finish up the Bluetooth speaker. I don't think there's going to be a full video about that. I think I'll just use that for making some shorts and stuff. So I want to, tonight before I go to bed, I want to go back in and design a little escutcheon and platter. I should put some googly eyes on them. I have printed two purple knobs for the volume and I think tone control. So they're okay. Then I can go and measure that up tonight and CAD up something so that it's there's something that I can route through on the front panel of the box, and then set it in with a couple of screws or a couple of little machine screws and bolts. And hopefully that will be all that's required because everything else is already mounted with self-tappers. And then the other amplifier and buck converter stuff can just, well, not the amplifier, but the buck converter and power supply stuff can all just get mounted on some little 3D printed brackets that I can make without too much hassle. So I'll probably take all those in tonight and start to come up with some CAD files that are going to be easy to batch out in a small set. So yeah, that's pretty much the upshot of what's been happening in the world for yours truly. Not an awful lot. In fact, this one looks like I might just need to double-sided tape this to something. I might have to make a little bracket that sort of holds it on the side. This one, because there's no little mounting points on it. This one's got nothing to mount through, so I'll probably have to make some sort of little claw mechanism that grabs it and holds it that way. It might even then sit on top of this. So I might have this, and then I might have a little platter that this is just sort of stuck onto, depending on how hot it gets, because being a voltage regulator, they tend to get a little bit toasty from time to time. There's a tongue twister. I think I showed this one last week. So there was that was the second push stick done in PETG, and then I did do one in PLA. So this is that silk. What is it? PLA Silk Trio. But unfortunately, this filament from this brand, which I did used to use. I used to buy it because it was cheap. I'm not having a go at the brand or the people that use it. I used to buy it because it was inexpensive and it meant I could buy more filament. But basically, it used to pretty much get to about halfway down the roll, which is considerably more than halfway, but there's probably still about 80 meters left on the roll. But it would get down to about halfway, and then every 10 meters or so it would just break. So I should put this in the dehydrator, which I might even set up. I don't know if I've even showed the dehydrator. I might set it up on the bench and show you what the deal is. And I'll try and dry it and see if it makes a difference. But the funny thing is, it says in here it's 55% humidity. Over 50 is pretty rare inside, but this room has been open all day. So I'll put the heater on in here and we'll see how it goes. But yeah, generally with this stuff, once it starts to break, I've very rarely been able to rescue it. And I think part of the issue as well is that it's wound more tightly around the roll when it gets down there. So it's kind of, you know, obviously not by much, but this has been wound up tighter for longer than the rest of the roll, essentially. And yeah, it just tends to break once you get to that point. And that was certainly what I was having. I'm probably very lucky in terms of my experience that I managed to print the whole ukulele body in PLA Plus, in the silk PLA. I need to try and do something with the stringing. I'm going to try the heat gun trick. But I've never tried the heat gun trick on PLA, so I'm going to have to be very, very careful. But yeah, problem is once it breaks, it jams and it leads to clogs and stuff like that. We don't want that. So one moment, and I'm just going to get, what was I going to get? I can't remember what I was going to get. It was something. I was going to get the dehydrator. That's what I'm going to get. So this is an Aldi food dehydrator that I bought. Well, actually, I didn't even buy it. A friend bought it. And essentially, I'm just going to use it to try and dry out this roll of filament. And I'm sorry, but I just have a bit of junk that I need to tidy up first, so there is actually room for it on the bench. I have bought other bits for the ukulele. Hopefully the rest of it arrives in time, but who knows. I've been crimping connections. There were issues with homemade vacuum cleaners today that required crimps to be reapplied, so I've done that. I'll put the shitty snips away. Now the top of this is very dusty because it's just been sitting out there in the workshop, but it shouldn't matter too much. It should be okay, I think. So I'll turn it around. Yoink. Now the only other thing is with the fan heater going, the breaker might trip, but we'll see. Oh, there's a good beep. 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 So it's got a little digital display on there, so you can set the temperature and the time. Some people say go for 70 degrees. I usually don't make it that hot, but I tried to set it up so I could have 2 rolls going. I think maybe it just fits, but not by very much. I think you can sort of spin these around and get a little bit of extra height happening, but that's okay. I can't quite remember how you set these, so you get the tall version. I think there you go. There's the tall version. Will that be enough for this one? Let's see. Put that in. Yep, that'll do it. So let's set this for, what should I set it for? Maybe I'll do 50 degrees. And I don't think I need 10 hours. So this is set for 50 degrees for 2 hours. And then what I often did was I would drop in one of these little temperature and humidity sensors, just so I could basically keep an eye on what the temperature's doing in there. It's not exactly high tech, but what is these days, right? Everyone's got their methods and their people they use and their ways they do stuff. So what else could I talk about? I can talk about the videos. That might be, well, I shouldn't say good. I've just been watching more Johnny Malecki, who does the he's doing a lot of epoxy resin tables and stuff. I can really smell the dust heating up on this, but that's okay. What I'm wondering is if I can put this actually further down, or if that will work. Can I sort of move this to the side and then put that there? There we go. And now I can see that it should be coming down in humidity. I'll shut the door, and that will help. But generally, for the Ender 3 is actually, touch wood, I've not had issues with wet filaments and the Ender. I think the 24 volt hot end's probably got something to do with that. It seems to heat up a lot more quickly. But yeah. Anyway, other than that, yeah. Otherwise, I'd just be tidying up the workshop at the moment because it's a bit of a mess. So I'll look down and I'll say if there's anything happening. Apparently, in there, there's a moth at the bottom that's very, very unhappy with the way the temperature's going. And at the moment, it says the temperature's going up and it's 56% humidity in there. So it is more moist in there than it was out here. But I suppose vapors and drying and stuff, I don't know. Who knows? We'll see what happens. So yeah, I've got the 3D printed push sticks. I do want to try them out. I think that would make a nice video. And obviously, I've just put out not obviously, if you haven't been watching, I just put out a crosscut sled build video where I made some 3D printed slides. Now, where did I put those? I could show those off. One moment. Where did they go? Oh, there they are. So, in the past when I've made... In fact, I'll go and get it. I'll go get the bloody thing, James. 1 second. There you go. Go get the other one. This is my previous crosscut sled. It's made of 16mm MDF, and I had plywood runners, which are fine. The problem with this is that it just wasn't very straight. It did for a quick rush job in a hurry, but it's made with pallet wood and studs, and it's just not that good. I could probably have taken it apart and put it back together again, but here's the new version. This is made of a plywood door that I got out of a cupboard at work. A couple of 90 by 35 kiln dried pieces of pine. I did spend a lot of time setting up the slot to be square to the front fence. So you can see the front fence is actually overhanging a bit over there, and that's deliberately to make sure it's square to the blade. And then I've got 3D printed runners, which glide quite nicely. They're not going to be affected by moisture, and I'm looking forward to this thing being very helpful in the future. Certainly a very helpful tool to have. I had one on my old, when I had a GMC table saw, a very, very old GMC table saw. It was very handy to have. So what's on the cards now? Well, we've just had a meeting about the Bumfudge Spectacular, and we've decided we're going to fix out Davros group build that we did a couple of years back before I moved. That's how long ago it was. So this week I'm going to buy some thin plywood, and I will be spending time cutting lots and lots of plywood discs, and I'll look around for some 5mm nylon nuts and bolts, which I think I've got. I think I've got some. And I'll be gluing some discs in and some nylon nuts and bolts. I should say we'd previously epoxied. We bought lots and lots of epoxy and epoxied the heads of these nuts and bolts in, and they've just come adrift in the heat because Australia gets hot in the summer. Sometimes hotter than sheds can manage. What are we down to? Down to 42% and 32.9 degrees. I wish I could. Down to 41%. So it's definitely going to dry that out. But I don't know. You speak from your experiences, don't you? You speak from the experiences you have. I bought that filament in the past, and I just stopped. So of the filaments that I buy now, actively, like if I was spending my own money on filament, and probably if I was spending someone else's money, that's what I'd be buying. If somebody said, here's some money, I want you to buy me some good filament, that'd be the gear. The other one that I do buy is called T-Core, and it's from, what's it called? Hang on, Ink Station. It's from an online store called Ink Station. The reason I got onto it is I buy aftermarket toner cartridges for the laser printer for doing worksheets and school stuff. And so, I can, for $30, I can get 4 toner cartridges, and for $70, I can get 1 small toner cartridge for my printer in the house. So it just became easy to say, well, I'll keep buying the aftermarket ones. And then I found out that I bought the Ender 3 from there because it was quite cheap. I think Ender 3 was $230. I actually should have bought another one at tax time. I'm really kind of kicking myself that I didn't buy another one. Especially because this one's been a workhorse. It's done really well in however long it's been. Coming up on 2 years. 18 months I've had it. That being said, the CR10's been a workhorse too. It's had so many hot ends replaced, but it does work really hard, and it probably copped a lot of abuse early on in its life because I had no idea what I was doing. So it's probably been, horribly mistreated as far as 3D printers go, but now it's got new fans and things like that. It should be living a life of luxury. All right, so let me move the big box for the stereo out of the way, and I'll try and. So the plug got pulled on the big stained glass window frame thing, which now means I've got a set of LEDs to do something with because lo and behold, work didn't want to reimburse me for them when they decided they didn't want me to do the job. So I have a nice set of LEDs, and I have a nice DeWalt corner clamp to use. So I'm going to be looking for things with corners to make now. So that'll be good. And speaking of corners, I'm looking into getting a new miter saw that I know I've talked about at length. I've already bored people at length with this today, just because, as I've said previously, I think when I bought my last one, I was so enamored with the idea of buying a miter saw, and I'd kind of focused on what was the best value for money miter saw, and I think my money went a long way. Like, it's a Makita saw, but it's their MT cheapy range of tools. But a 10-inch miter saw for $249, and now that same saw is $349. So it's the only tool I've got that's appreciated in value. But it, at 10 inches in pure drop capacity, it just doesn't cut boards wide enough that I need. And I was finding, even doing like the dog lamp, that I really needed more rip capacity than what it does. So I'm thinking I will probably, I won't say upgrade, although it is a more expensive saw. I will cross grade, because I know people that go, oh, DeWalt, fanboy, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, they're the only company that make a sliding saw that is under $1,000 that doesn't have rails that poke out the back of the saw. That's the reason. If I was so much of a DeWalt fanboy, I wouldn't have owned a Makita saw. But you know, the Makita was the best value for money. Looking around at what I want my new saw to do, DeWalt's the only brand that makes one. I'm happy for anyone to suggest a different one. I've looked at Hitachi, I've looked at Metabo, and I've even looked at Makita. The cheapest Makita options, $1,200, and it's a 10-inch. The DeWalt one is an 8-inch, so it's a much smaller saw. The downside of that's going to be I've got a heap of blades that I won't be able to use, and I'm going to have to find lots and lots of reducing washers so I can at least take the blades from that saw and put them in my table saw, which is a 10-inch saw. But that's what it is. You can't do much about it. All right. Anyway, enough faffling on. All right. Let me get the dog. So here's the dog lamp. Very skillfully assembled with a couple of blocks and an LED downlight. I had tried to chisel out a little mortise for this. Was kind of a proof of concept test, but I have tried to round everything over so it looks a little bit nicer. And we're going to decorate. I'm going to do two of these. We're going to decorate this one in grey. So tomorrow I'm going to go out and try and find a grey stain. It's got a couple of little dimples there from where I've had to fire in brads to support this because it's not exactly cutting edge joinery. Butt joints at an angle is not a great strategy, but I'll take this all apart tomorrow and we're going to stain it grey because we had a husky, an Alaskan Malamute slash husky. So I'm going to stain this in a sort of grey colour, and this one's going to have pointy ears that are poking up. And then for Billy, I'm going to make another one of these. This is also scaled up. I had to scale this up to be considerably bigger because of using this type of lamp. Now, some other people have asked me to make them one, and I have ordered some different lamp type stuff. This is a 7.5 watt LED downlight. It already came with a flex. I put a video out about how I hacked a light switch onto it. So that's all this is. It's just to turn it into a lamp. But this, I think because it's right at the front, is too bright. It actually needs to sit further back. So I bought some E27 lamp holder kits, Edison screw, that will just take a regular small Edison screw LED bulb, and I think that'll be better. So the next batch will have this. But this was a good proof of concept. I liked that I could try this out, see if it worked. I also want to try these out because we're getting our kitchen redone, and I want some nice downlights to go above the bench. So I really do like these. That, and they're quite cheap. These were $7 each or something at the time that I got them. So they're good. I'm quite happy. All right, I'll turn it on. Right, the heater's borrowing the cord. There we go. Is it on? I think it's on. Hold on. Yeah. Flip the color switch to work. So, yeah, it's okay. It works all right. I'll put that. There we go. Stage ready. So, where is it? I have some ears marked up on pallet wood for it for tomorrow. These are the pointy ears. And then these are the poodle ears, that are downwards ears. So these will go. You see that? No, you can't. Hold on. Oh dear. You see it now? Well, I'll sit there. It looks sad. Whereas the pointy ones will go. Probably go further back like that. That's the plan. Well, I'd like to have a go at making them out of pallet wood. I think that would be quite nice. The head needs compound miters cut, and I'm not that good with compound miters, which is where I'm thinking maybe that other old source lead might come into play, because I can set that up as a 45-degree rip, and then I could probably use a wedge, whatever the angle of the side piece is, I could use that to angle the piece and then cut a 45 on it. Maybe that'll work. I'm not sure. Although, hey, I've got a compound miter saw. The only problem is it doesn't cut deep enough to be able to cut those pieces out. And all those pieces came out of a single board that was about, it's 290 by 19 pine, and it probably took about 1,500 mil of board to get all those pieces with, little slivers and that of offcut. But I've got a bandsaw at work, and I'm thinking I might measure up the next lot and take them to work and cut them roughly on a bandsaw, and also at the same time make some templates at work out of MDF, because like I say, I have had some people ask me to make, asked about whether I'd make them one outside of like friends and family already. So here's the lamp. So that's the kind of lamp. It's got three settings on it. I think I bumped the switch in that one, and so the warm light doesn't work. But it's just, I've pulled the back off it and hacked a flex onto the end of it, and it works fine. No issue with it there. These are little $5 inline switches with a flex and plug from Amazon. So for the lamp and the cord, I was already looking at $15, whereas the stuff I've just bought tonight to do the next batch doesn't come with a bulb, but I'm already down to about $10 without a bulb. And I think if I could get a really, really low power Edison screw bulb, something like a 5.5 watt or even lower, maybe there's like a 3.5 watt version out there, that'd be even better. And to be able to do them out of like scrappy recycled wood, number one, I suppose, brings the cost down if I can get things to a state that they're easy enough to make. And also, the other thing is that maybe I could use a router table to cut a 45-degree chamfer, if I set a little fence up or something. If you get the setup down, the production refined to where you're not trying to solve problems as you're going, it's just a matter of do the steps and put it together, then that'll be all right. Let's have a look. The moisture is down to 10%. No, sorry. It's 10% moisture and 44.9 degrees temperature in there. So it is warm inside the little hot house there. So that's pretty good. I believe the moth has unfortunately shuffled off its mortal coil. By the way, is Terry alive? Terry, are you here? Terry, are you? Yep, he's running around. He's here. It's okay, everyone. Calm down. It's all right. Terry's okay. There you go. What else? I do need to 3D print another one of these. And probably find another Arduino Uno. Oh god, and a battery holder. I hadn't thought about that. And a battery holder and a switch. And that's probably still turned on. No, that's off. So that can be ready for the Bum Fudge Spectacular. A lot of work happening. Like I say, the next two videos, I'm hoping. Gee, I'm sorry, getting a good view of my terrible teeth. The next two videos will hopefully be the dog lamp, and then I'd like to make to do a video about this. I am This isn't like NAIDOC Week Spectacular or anything. We got given this painting. It's not really my style, but it's a painting. Someone put a lot of effort into it, and it will probably, a wall will look nicer with it on there than not with it on there, so to speak. So what I'd like to do is actually make a canvas frame for this canvas, and then have a go at stretching the canvas over the frame. I do have one more nice piece of that 90 by 35 nice square kiln dried pine. I now have the crosscut sled, so I should be able to make my half lap joints. So that's my planned next project, is to be able to make that. Because it's not too big, I should be able to manage this. Obviously, I can cut the long lengths on the miter saw with a stop block. The short lengths I should be able to also cut there. Then it's just cutting in the little half laps, and that's dial it in. So I'm guessing I probably need, a strut, and then probably one in the middle just to strengthen it. And the middle ones are probably going to be the hardest ones to do, aren't they? Because can I trust myself to not screw up the middle measurements? Well, I suppose even if it's not perfectly in the center, so long as it's okay top and bottom. So what I might have to do is sort of clamp them together and cut them at the same time, and maybe even use wrap them in blue tape or something so that I can cut them together. That seems like a good plan. The other thing I want to do at 500 subscribers, which language learning for beginners, just to keep that channel going. I'm going to take some credit eventually one day for that. What I'd like to do at 500 subscribers is, this is the last thwacker handle that currently exists until the laser cutters at work are back up and running, and I've got some pieces and time and whatnot. What I would like to do is actually make the 500 subscriber thwacker, and I would like to give it away to a person that comments on the 500 subscriber video whenever that comes out, and I'll make a limited edition colored 500 subscriber thwacker. What I thought I might do is actually write 500 in the handle for when it's 3D printed, so that it's the 500 subscriber one. And I'll make it, I've got a feeling it needs to be yellow. For me, that's a bit of a no-brainer, isn't it? The 500 subscriber thwacker handle needs to be thwacker, should be, and it should be this DeWalty yellow, shouldn't it? Should be the DeWilt yellow. How close is it? Well, it's not too bad. It looks closer on camera than it does in real life. So it should be in the DeWilt yellow, and I'll give that away at 500 subs. So 414 at last count, and I had 413 last night and 411 when I woke up this morning. So I've got to stop checking. But at 500, I would love to be able to do a giveaway. And thank you to everyone that's sharing or liking or interacting or even giving the thumbs down on a video, because all interactions are helping me make this stuff. I know that I'm getting a lot more traffic from shorts videos. I had a stupid idea about doing a silly video, but I'm trying to keep it sensible. I'm also trying to keep this channel hidden from my students, because I'm well aware that if students got on here and there are lots of student comments, then the fun stops and I have to close it down, which wouldn't be much fun. I'd be very upset because of all the hard work that I put in. But you've got to keep your job as well. Well, speaking of my job, let's talk about the job. What else has gone on? It's been report writing. First time that our reports have gone out on this new system we've been using, which is kind of all electronic. And I know because our son's report came out on the electronic report. So Scott's Vac Shack did well. We were happy. A lot of chasing up of people with work that wasn't handed in. That's something I've never had to do at primary school. And as well as, at least at primary school, you knew the person. You spent all day, every day in the classroom with them. So you kind of knew them. You got an idea about what they could and couldn't do through your many, 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 many interactions throughout the days, weeks, months. And there are some students that I'd have classes where I've seen a student twice in a semester. So that was a bit strange. And you have to be honest and say, I I can't write anything about that person because I just don't know them. It wouldn't be fair. So there's that. I think the other thing is that I spent a lot of time chasing up people for stuff. And because I chased up people for stuff, that, number one, irritated families, because why are you chasing up for stuff so late in the picture? And for me, it was because I'd given people extra time, and I saw that as a good thing. And the second thing was a lot of just sitting by my computer late at night waiting for people to send stuff in. So the back and the neck are very tight and sore because I sit from 8 o'clock at night until 1 in the morning, hunched over a computer, writing comments for things that did come in, writing emails for people that haven't sent their stuff in. And of course, the other thing is, why are you sending emails at like 10 o'clock at night? Well, I'm trying to get this work done. I'm trying to get this grade on your child's report before the report goes out. Whereas other people have said, no, if they don't have it in, they don't have it in. Tough. That's the way of the world. And maybe I should be more like that. I think I've definitely learned a lesson. I'm not going to give out extra time. You know, we have to set out all the due dates at the very start of the semester, and all the families, because of this electronic platform, know what the assignments are and know what the due dates are. If it's not in by the due date, you know. And also, I'm going to have all these things that I've learned that still are more work, is to make a general worded email to say there was an assessment piece that your child hasn't handed in. That's all I can do. And just go from there. What are we at down to now? 46.9 and holding steady at 10% humidity. I wonder how dehydrated really is. Like, if you're making beef jerky, how dehydrated does it actually need to get before it's dehydrated? That is a good question. We should look that up, but I can't. Can I look? I can't. I don't really have enough space on the bench now because I've got a dehydrator in the way. But I'm going to go through my pallet wood and see if I've got enough little pieces to make another dog. I even thought about maybe doing a dog with just a rectangular head, because then I could use a router and cut some little housing joints, particularly if it's going to have, I don't know if a square head. But then again, I think of like, what was that show? Tintin. Snowy the dog had a square head. It just did. Let me swap over here. How dehydrated is jerky? How dehydrated does it get? 4 to 5 hours. Well, it doesn't say. How to make beef jerky? No. How to dry beef jerky? How to tell when it's finished drying? The jerky is done when it bends and cracks but does not break in half. Okay. 10 easy steps. Well, you just got to take it down for 18 hours. Wow. No, that's marination. 4 to 5 hours. Dry for 3 hours at 165, allowing the internal temperatures to reach 160 degrees, then turn down to 145. And then after 4 hours, keep drying until the jerky bends. So there's no kind of... I wonder if anyone's ever mentioned how dry beef jerky gets. Who knows? I don't know. Can I go to the... I wonder if I've got any... I can't do a latency test, I don't think. I wonder if I can watch my own stream while I've got my own stream. Oh, I can. Let's see what it looks like. There we go. Hello. I'll do a test. 1, 2, 3. It's about 3 seconds behind. There you go. That's scary. I bet they got echoey as well. Sorry about that. Yeah. What else? What else have I watched? I haven't watched, and I feel very guilty that I haven't watched it yet. Oh, my phone is almost flat now. If you've got any ideas on how much I should charge if I start offering these dog lamps, let me know. Oh, there you go. I asked one person. There we go. One person believes $185 plus GST, or $65, to cover the materials. If they cost that much to build, then I wouldn't make these to sell. A good CNC could punch these out in minutes. Then again, I suppose a good CNC is about $2,000. So, maybe the people that want to buy one don't have a CNC. Do I bother engaging Nathan Rafferty in this conversation? Possibly not. I think sometimes people come at a particular topic and they've got their perspective and their perspective only. The movie Malcolm was on tonight. I'm in a Facebook group for holding chimeras. I had a chimera once, and I messaged my brother and said, "Oh, I'm watching Malcolm. It is Chimera Central because it's like 1980s, or was it 1985 or something in Melbourne. So there's just chimeras everywhere. It's a fun movie, I think." And Scott was watching it with me, but he didn't like it when somebody smashed the model train. He thought that was really mean, so we had to change channel and watch YouTube instead. And so we got to watch the Ibasiac person doing his Ibasiac vacuum type things. There you go. The things that you do with your children. You watch YouTube that you've seen over. My mum and dad will have had to have watched Transformers and Doctor Who on VHS over and over again. We've watched the Octonauts over and over again, and in certain videos, particularly we know that when he's getting sick, because there are certain videos that we just go back to. But that'd be like me. If I had the afternoon where somebody said, you can watch any episode of Doctor Who that you want, everybody knows that I will just go, oh, let's just watch Remembrance of the Daleks, because it's the perfect episode, because it is not too long. It's mildly, for Doctor Who standards, high-tech and modernistic. It's easy to watch. Has Daleks in it. The special effects are quite good, apart from the Dalek that switches gun noises partway through, but I won't get into that now. So that's what I'll watch, even though there are other times that you're like, oh, I'd like to watch Pyramids of Mars or Talons of Wing Chang or something. If somebody said, you've got the afternoon off, get a Doctor Who out and watch it, it'll 9 times out of 10, unless there is something about it that, something, oh, I really want to watch Tomb of the Cybermen, it'll be Remembrance of the Daleks. That's just how it works. Well, there's a nerdy rant. What else? I was talking about the other job. I basically spent a long time on the latter part of the week talking to someone about doing the electrical test and tag course, and I've priced it up now, and I think I'm going to do it. It's about $2,600, including a machine, and a machine that sort of prints all the stickers and does all that stuff for you. So there's kind of no way you can stuff it up apart from not knowing how to test and tag things. And I think that'll be all right. I think that'll be, I'm not thinking of a way to get out of my job, for the rest of my life. But I'm also thinking, if it gets too much, well, maybe it's just a fallback, because it's a qualification. And it's certainly enough that you could start a business for, and, could probably get some schools around to test and tag all their stuff, and it's a requirement. A lot of people do it. We've got a big industrial place here as well that requires it. So, plus we think about every time we have little showcases like the Bum Fudge Spectacular, where every single item that you plug in needs to have a valid tag on it. So that reminds me, it's time to go and buy a heap of new extension cords and power boards, because it's if you have to get them tested there, it's $30 an item. So imagine if yours truly rocks up and there's 50 people that need something tested, and I say, oh, look, I can do it for $15. I'll do it for half the price, or 10. 50 people, $10. That's not bad. Not bad for a day. Be more than what I earn teaching for a day. But I suppose you'd have to just make sure that you test 50 items a day, every day. Could you do that? Maybe you could. But you also have to, I guess, doing that kind of thing, you'd have to be on, people's billing cycle and stuff, and you'd have to learn how to pay yourself a wage, every month or whatever. You'd have to be able to wait 30 days to be able to get paid for some jobs. Whereas some days, you'd hope transfer straight away or cash on the day would be ideal. But, I should talk to my brother. He certainly does that kind of thing with his carpet cleaning, so he'd probably be able to give me very valid advice on how that works. But that's the plan anyway. One day, I don't know whether I'll get it done in the holidays or not, in this holidays, but I think it'd be really nice to be set up and ready for Christmas, because then there's quite a long break and be able to try it out. But I suppose if I could do it before the long break's over, or before this break's over, I'd be ready for the Bumfeld Spectacular. I could test and tag the group stuff, and I always say tag and test, but obviously it's test then tag. So I don't know. It could be the Fake Maker test and tag. Would that work? I can't do Jim's test and tag because that's already a thing. Or if I could do Jimmy's test and tag. I don't know. Who knows? Anyway, that's comment on this video if you've got an idea for a silly name for a test and tag company. Of course, I think you can register an ABN just as your own name, and just do, whatever your name is, test, electrical testing, and that'll be all right. So, with so many things going battery powered, that's the whole reason I've got to do the Bluetooth speaker with battery power, because you can't have our employer will not have you bring your homebrew electronics to be tested. So fair enough. Anyway, well, I'm going to go and take this little amplifier board in and try and draw up a fusion model that does the two potentiometers, the mounting screw locations, and also they're at slightly different heights, so I've got to account for that and make an escutcheon, and then from that escutcheon a little extrusion underneath to have these. And I've got some really small self-tapping screws, so I'm just going to make some little pilot holes in the 3D print and then hope that the little screws will go in there. But again, it's kind of a short one this week because it's been a busy week. So the plan is 2 videos out in the next in the holidays. I've obviously got another dog lamp to build, and hopefully I've caught enough of building this one that I don't need to really film a lot. Maybe just a few pieces here and there for anything that was different, and obviously the finishing process has to be filmed still, and I don't know if I filmed any of the sanding, so I should probably do that, even though that's pretty boring. Although the drilling, that's the real boring part. Joke there. Alright, I'm gonna love you and leave you in all your glory for the week. I hope your week ahead is really engaging and happy and brings you some kind of joy, and please continue to support little channels like this one, and thanks very much for your time, and until that next time I see you, keep your bananas where you can see them, and keep your filament dry, particularly if it's rubbish PLA plus this stuff, bloody dude, there was terrible crap, bloody awful